Second missile hit Pokrovska's emergency services worked at the scene. Local official says. Darkness had just settled on the eastern Ukrainian city of Pokrovsk when the first Russian Iskander missile hit. Time was of the essence, and emergency service workers quickly responded, rushing to the scene to aid the injured. But just as the rescuers were getting to work, the unthinkable happened. Serhiy Dubrak, head of Pokrovsk City Military Administration, described the horror on his Telegram channel. The first missile hit at 1915, the second at 1952. This is a standard Russo-fascist scenario. 30-40 minutes between missiles. The second missile struck with cruel precision, hitting the very people who had come to save others. Buildings shattered, windows in many structures were smashed. At least 2,000 windows, Dobryak said. The destruction was immense, from residential buildings to the popular Drozhba Hotel and Corleone Pizzeria, both frequented by journalists. The numbers of dead and injured climbed. Among the 7 people killed were 5 civilians, a rescuer, and a serviceman. Pavlo Kirilenko, head of Donetsk Regional Military Administration, reported 81 injured, including 39 civilians, 2 children, 31 police officers, 7 rescuers, and 4 military personnel. The aftermath was a scene of devastation. 12 multi-story buildings damaged, as well as a hotel, a prosecutor's office, a pension fund, a pharmacy, shops, cafes, and cars. Andrei Omelchenko, a high-ranking emergency service official, was among the dead. Ukraine's national police paid tribute to the courage of those who had risked their lives, saying on Telegram, all of them were there when they were needed, putting their efforts into rescuing people. And the enemy struck again. The tragedy of Pokrovsk was a stark reminder of the merciless nature of the conflict. Ukraine has erased a Soviet-era hammer and sickle from monument that dominates Kyiv's skyline. In Kyiv, a symbol of the past was being replaced with a symbol of a new future. The Motherland Monument, a towering steel figure that had dominated the capital's skyline since 1979, was undergoing a transformation. Ukrainian workers carefully removed the Soviet hammer and sickle, replacing it with the trident, the Ukrainian coat of arms. The change was symbolic but significant, a mark of Ukraine's determination to reassert its cultural identity in the face of Russian aggression. We believe that this change will be the beginning of a new stage in the revival of our culture and identity, the final rejection of Soviet and Russian symbols and narratives, the Ukrainian Culture Ministry proclaimed. The operation, which took a week, was completed on August 6. For many Ukrainians, the transformation of the 102-metre-tall monument was a step forward. The woman holding a sword and shield now bore the emblem of their nation, a defiant gesture that signalled Ukraine's resolve to forge its own path. Injuries rise following Russian strikes on Pokrovsk. Ukrainian minister says, the people of Pokrovsk were still reeling from the double missile strikes that had rocked their city. In the aftermath, the toll continued to rise. Minister of Internal Affairs Ihor Klimenko revealed 10 more wounded, bringing the total to at least 7 dead and 67 injured, including 29 police officers, 7 rescue workers, and 2 children. The removal of debris had been suspended overnight due to the high threat of repeated shelling, but now the grim work resumed. The city was on edge, every noise a reminder of the attacks that had torn through their homes and lives. The strikes had come after the United Nations warned about a new wave of attacks on civilians in Ukraine, including aid workers. But the warnings had done little to shield Pokrovsk from the onslaught. As the cleanup continued and the injured were tended to, the people of Pokrovsk faced their losses with a mixture of grief, anger, and resilience, knowing that their city was forever changed.